Fox fishing. Paul Childerley has an unusual vermin problem to sort out.
You've got some foxes taking koi carp at the pond. Yeah, at least 3 or 4, I reckon. So.
Staying on angling, I'm after herds of carp in South Africa.
I mean, we fished for 3-4 days now. We haven't seen a single other human being.
And Deborah Hadfield uncovers the reason that the UK government's latest anti-hunting law is already out of date. We're giving away £200 worth of tweed gilet. David brings you the news on the new stump. And James Marchington has the best hunting and shooting videos with Hunting YouTube. Welcome to Fieldsports Britain. Fantastic Mr. Fox has given up on the hen house and has instead turned his attention to the fish pond. Like many shooters, Paul gets asked to solve all sorts of issues when an acquaintance discovers he has access to a firearm.
You've got some foxes taking koi carp at the pond.
Yeah, at least 3 or 4, I reckon. So, yeah.
With a taste for fish.
With a taste of fish, indeed. Yeah, our very expensive koi carp in this pond here.
How much is the fish stuff around here then?
Oh, it's enough. Yeah, it's enough. So no, yeah, we've seen a couple, and obviously there's enough herons as well. So you know, we don't need anything more getting in there.
Yeah, that's the thing. I first of all I thought, you know, probably it might be a mink, just mink or otter coming down and taking them, but it's not. If there's an otter here, there wouldn't be any koi carp left in here. It would do the whole pond. The foxes are coming in basically from the town, so you can hear the roar of the traffic miles away. Now we need the foxes and a bit of luck. So yeah.
With the safety side of the ground sorted, Paul talks urban fox tactics.
Yeah. You going to call tonight, or is it just?
I'll bring a couple of bin bags with me and give them a shake.
Is that what they respond to around here?
Or is it like the fish and chip van?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll give it a little squeak. I think they know what squeaks are still. A rabbit there, so the rabbit just there. There's one there, look. See him? Not really. Alpaca.
Come on, let's go and get your kit.
Bullets, gun, night vision, silencer, sticks, torch, gloves, bag.
He's using his Sako S20 in 243, possibly a little heavy for tonight's efforts, but that is what he had the Hick Micro Alpex mounted on. Paul sets himself up in a gateway between 2 paddocks. The call works beautifully.
I'm meant to be the one getting excited. You know, it's like, fox, fox, fox. Jesus, man, I tell you. Yeah. I know, but yeah, we've had a bit of excitement. Basically, I stuck the old caller on the phone, had one come straight up behind us, and we weren't sure about this one up here, so we had a look, come back round, there's one coming through. So obviously handed you the spotter, which was a mistake, because you got very excited once you could see it. Took my time, there's no rush, he'd spot us. They see this IR, they see it every time, especially this close. It's only, what was it, I don't know how far he was, probably 40 yards. And right next to literally, the lake is here, the pond is here, and he's like come right through the menage, through the menage, and literally come out through there, come through the fence, back through the fence, come through the fence. And this is what I was getting told by somebody in my ear roll, and I could see it. After specifically telling him not to say a word, just tap me on the shoulder. But we got the fox, that's the main thing. It's a different fox. This is a smaller fox. The first one we saw, big fox, big fox. And we've got another field at the back here we're going to go look at now. We're going to sort this one out. Give it 5 minutes, and then we go around the back there. And actually really quiet, wasn't it? That shot was like into the ground, quite sudden, done, quiet ground. So good.
Fishy fox.
Fishy fox.
Vixen,
yeah, vixen. Big though, isn't she? Monster. Real short, stubby fox. exit. Perfect. I'm using the 55 grain, but gone for a real light bullet because basically it fragment easy. Touch a bit of ground, touch a bit of cover, it'll blow up, and yeah, hot and fast. No.
You can see why this boy has so many Instagram followers. He's got his eyes on the target and the record button. Take note, other Fieldsports channel family members. You know who you are.
Okay, Mr. Childley, so a successful evening.
We got a happy man, so
He's happy, is he?
He's happy. He basically just told us a story again about how the fox come to the pond in the summer and was carrying one of his big koi carp across there. He said it was a red, black and white one or something. So he was quite annoyed with that. So yeah, one down, but obviously the other one that you scared is still out there, so we have to come back for that one. Personally, do really like thermal at the moment with the scope as well. I do like the what's it called? Combination of the two. They do work well. So yeah, work.
Our fishy issue is reduced by one, and Paul will be back out again with bin bags and fish and chip wrappers to complete the koi carp protection scheme. If you want to check out the options for the Sako S20, go to sako.fi. Thank you, Paul. Now, this week's prize is a tweed gilet priced at £195 from Pin Piuma in Suffolk. It's a reversible gilet designed by Rob, a farrier in Suffolk, who got in touch, with large bellows pockets and leather trim. It's tweed on one side, you can turn it around and it's quilted on the other. Find out how to win it on Fieldsports Extra and watch Fieldsports Extra by joining the Fieldsports Nation, £5 a month, link below, and support our work. And this is where I usually tell you the latest on the Chris Packham case, where the tiresome BBC presenter is suing us for libel. And nothing to report there this week, except we're preparing our first round of defence. We have a couple of earlier prize winners to show you this week, far more exciting. Here's Kevin Marsh, winner of the ADG Custom Knife, and this is Mick Burke's rifle setup with his new Spartan bipod, kindly donated by Bailey's Shooting and Country Wear. Next, from a bad fox to bad facts, it's David on the Fieldsports Channel News Stump.
This is Fieldsports Channel News. A hunt founded 230 years ago is being disbanded because of urbanisation. The Mennell and South Staffordshire Hunt says it will join forces with the North Staffordshire, South Notts and Moorlands hunts, with all of its hounds to be rehomed. In a statement, it said the move was due to increasing urbanisation and development across the countryside. Staff will remain employed until the 1st of May. The Mennell family founded the hunt in 1793. Its current Sudbury kennels were built in 1872, when it became a subscription hunt, and it merged with the South Staffordshire in 1970. The UK Bluefin Tuna Association has welcomed the news that the government has committed to continue with the catch, release and tag programme. The proposals will be considered as part of the submission to the International Commission for the Conservation of Atlantic Tunas. The CHART programme will include a quota of 10 tonnes of bluefin tuna, but the UK BTA says it is disappointed that the government has chosen to prioritise a pilot commercial fishery while continuing to fail to deliver a full recreational catch and release fishery. It says a sport fishery will deliver greater economic benefits to coastal communities. The association is also concerned that the commercial fishery will target 3 to 4-year-old fish that may not have spawned.
We've got no philosophical objection to a commercial bluefin fishery at some stage on a small scale and tightly controlled. We're really disappointed that they've chosen to prioritise this fishery while failing to deliver a recreational catch and release fishery, which is something that the Minister is supporting and which is going to create a huge amount more revenue for the economy of Cornwall than a small pilot commercial fishery would.
Shooters can stop the Welsh Government banning an essential tool that could help save the curlew. Humane cable restraints are due to be banned alongside other types of snares in the Agriculture Bill in July. The GWCT says it has evidence that curlew cannot recover in Wales without the responsible use of the restraints to control predators. It's calling for their continued use under licence, is lobbying politicians and says there is still time to amend the bill. The Trust is appealing for members of the shooting community to take part in the public consultation on the regulation of game bird releases in Wales. The consultation is likely to be launched by Natural Resources Wales in March and will be open for 12 weeks.
All methods of fox control are really important, but at certain times of the year, certain methods are a preferred option. So if you think about the spring of the year, when we have ground nesting birds, curlews, etc., that coincides when the cover's growing, and certain methods such as trying to shoot with a gun are difficult because you just can't see the foxes. That's when your main cable restraints are really at the most effective.
The National Trust has announced it's banning grouse shooting on 1,600 acres of its land in the Peak District. It has not renewed the tenancy at the Park Hall estate near Glossop. The charity says it has concerns over its shooting tenants' management techniques and that the aims of the shoot tenant did not align with the National Trust's ambitions for the nature, beauty and history of the Peak District. The RSPB has published an article claiming that its investigation team found rat poison in the badger set in the area. Derbyshire Police investigated the RSPB claim and decided not to bring criminal charges. Shooting organisations are on alert to look out for bias in David Attenborough's new wildlife series. The RSPB part-funded the Wild Isles series, which starts in the UK on Sunday night, the 12th of March 2023, and may use it to promote its anti-gamekeeper campaign. Anti-hunting groups have been keen to co-opt Sir David, who has been pro-hunting until now, especially big game hunting, which he recently supported in a clip on ITV.
The early hunters in the empire, as it then was, were the first conservationists, and they founded the first conservation movements long before the World Wildlife Fund.
However, there are fears the RSPB money may sway him to make anti-shooting statements. Anglers are celebrating that the National Trust is reopening a fishery after 4 years. The National Trust closed the lake at the Malham Tarn estate in the Yorkshire Dales during the pandemic, saying it was going to take time to consider the future of fishing. The statement rang alarm bells with anglers. The Trust carried out a survey in 2021, which generated more than 300 responses. It has now announced that it's seeking a third party to run the fishery with strict biosecurity procedures in place that may hinder restocking. Despite the limitations, Tim Bonner, Chief Executive of the Countryside Alliance, welcomes the news.
It's critically important to Malham Tarn, to the rivers of Yorkshire, to all the waterways of the United Kingdom, that there are fishermen and angling continues to thrive, because fishermen are the first indicators they're the people who spot biodiversity decline. They are the canaries in the mine. And the brilliant campaign run by Fergal Sharkey and many others to highlight the dumping of raw sewage in our rivers is a classic example of that. You know, the government is being forced to take action because of the issues raised by anglers. So generally, anglers do a lot of practical and day-to-day conservation work, but they also are the people who raise the issues long before many others about the degradation of our waterways.
A Scottish estate covered in Fieldsports News has sold to a rewilding company for £10.5 million. Highlands Rewilding bought the Tayvalloch estate in Argyll. It raised part of the money through crowdfunding. The new owner says it plans to restore the 3,500-acre estate's natural environment. It already owns 2 Scottish estates. Residents on the estate were concerned that the company would sack estate workers and plant forestry for lucrative carbon offset payments. After meetings with company representatives, some are now hopeful Highlands Rewilding will protect the community.
I think it's important that jobs and communities are placed at the heart of any transactions. Reports that Highlands Rewilding intends to close the purchase of Tayvalloch Estate by the end of this month may cause alarm bells to ring and smacks of a lack of consideration for the community. We know that in terms of environmental benefit and biodiversity, rewilding is less effective than properly managing the land, and in many cases can be harmful to jobs and livelihoods.
3 years into a 5-year pledge to phase out lead shot in game shooting, and still most pheasants are shot with lead. That's the conclusion of a Cambridge University study, which found that 94% of pheasants on sale it bought at a supermarket contained lead. In 2020, 9 shooting and field sports groups agreed voluntarily to phase out lead. In the new study, a team of 17 volunteers bought more than 350 pheasants from butchers, game dealers and supermarkets across the UK in 2022-2023. They dissected the birds at home and recovered embedded shotgun pellets. Lead was the main element in 94% of the recovered shot pellets. The remaining 6% were predominantly composed of steel or bismuth. Sweden has issued licences for hunters to kill 201 lynx. The permissions last throughout March and are more than double the number issued previously. Antis are opposing the licences and are asking the EU to take action against Sweden for breaching environmental law. The Swedish Environmental Protection Agency says that there are around 1,450 lynx in the country and it needs only 870 animals to maintain a healthy population. Thanks to Per Holmseth for the story. Shooters who've hunted in South Africa have been asked to take part in a survey. Professional Hunters Association of South Africa Foundation is appealing for hunters to answer questions about their experience. The foundation is conducting the survey with Northwest University near Joburg. It says that if international hunters complete the survey, it will ensure an adequate amount of data. It aims to assess the socio-economic impact of hunting tourism on the private wildlife tourism industry of South Africa. The new issue of Patrol is out. This email magazine covering anti-poaching measures in Africa launched in 2020 and highlights what's happening in Mozambique, Namibia, Zimbabwe and Tanzania. Among articles and videos, it includes the University of Oxford study examining the private sector's role in anti-poaching. Link below. And finally, foxhounds are top of the list of show dogs most at risk of extinction. The Kennel Club operates a national register of pedigreed dogs. Just one show foxhound puppy born in the UK in the last 5 years is registered on the latest list. The Kennel Club says the English foxhound originated 200 years ago from greyhounds, terriers and bulldogs. Happily, the breed is alive and well thanks to fox hunting and trail hunting. You are now up to date with Fieldsports Channel News. Stalking the stories, fishing for facts.
Buying shooting kits? Then head to Kit Finder and our team will help you find the right product at a fair price from dealers all over the UK. Kit Finder, the shooting kit comparison website.
Now, you watched Paul getting all coy about carp. Coy about carp, get it? I'm after the fish themselves with a fly in Africa. Carp. On the fly. It's hard not to stress the epic in this kind of fishing. Coming from the UK, everything here is extraordinary. I'm on the Van der Kloof Dam in South Africa's Northern Cape, a 50 square mile reservoir on the Orange River. It's a wonderful country for carp with fish up to 60 pounds. The ones I am after are up to about 7 pounds, close to the water's edge, and they are spooky. My host, Meinhard Herhold, lives here and prefers the fishing here to anywhere he has been in the world.
I think, Charlie, because it's a wilderness area, number one. I mean, we fished for 3-4 days now. We haven't seen a single other human being. It's wild fish. You can easily catch a carp of about 3 kilograms. Catfish, you can take a catfish of about 15 kilograms. And the smallmouth yellowfish between 1 and 3 kilograms is good. The largemouth yellowfish, they grow up to 10 kilograms and it's a fantastic fish.
The trees behind us are a paradise for yellowfish and for catfish, but today we're after carp, so that's what I'm going to do. First thing to establish is what the fish are taking. First fly we use, with some success, is a Montana variant. Well, this is ideal carp territory. They're moving all the way around here. They're very alive to vibrations, so we're moving extremely slowly and carefully. The water's quite murky, so they can't, I hope, see us coming, but they might be able to feel us coming. They seem to hate having the fly drop right in front of their mouth, but about 6 inches in front, that seems to be okay. So that's what I'm trying to do, and at 20 yards it can be a bit of an ask. Then we make a small, wriggly, but important discovery. Well, Maynard discovered yesterday a huge hatch of these, oh, he won't come up, underwater caterpillars. I think that's the only way I can describe them. And they're buzzers, really. And so we're using buzzers and we're having some success. Here's what the buzzers bring.
The carp is sight fishing. You see the carp, and then you try and put the fly right in front of its nose and just twig it in.
One of the problems with fishing here is it is extremely hot and the sun burns every part of you. My pale schoolgirl complexion suffers even with factor 50 sun cream.
Best season for us is from November till the end of March, summer. Yeah, it can get in December, January, about up to 35-40 degrees Celsius, but I would say the average is about 34.
That's not to keep you warm, is it?
No, it's to protect my hands.
This is what we've been after, this beautiful 3.5 pound African carp. It's just a thing of beauty, isn't it? I put it back in the water. I'm just going to encourage it back out into the dam. Come on. Freedom, my friend, freedom. Hot it may be, but it's worth it. If you would like to give this fishing a go, tackle up like you're going saltwater fly fishing and have a look at Meinhardt's website, salou.co.za, or find him on Facebook and Instagram. Thanks to my host Maynard, who also runs the Northern Cape Professional Hunting School, and thanks to Edwin Carney for filming that. We have a new podcast out this week. Artist Katie Hargreaves talks to me about her continuing journey to square her vegan values with being a deer stalker.
I'm not going to change everyone's mind, I don't want to, but I want to offer a perspective that's a bit different, that's a bit unique, to hopefully show people that it's possible to do all of those things as much as we can in this modern world, which is quite hard to navigate entirely ethically.
Link to that below. Next up, back to the UK and just how pointless the ban on trophy imports is.
Would you like a lion in your living room? You won't be breaking any laws if you do. Not even the upcoming private members bill by MP Henry Smith in Westminster to ban the import of hunting trophies. These lions are flawless, realistic fakes. They can be designed to be just like the lion you shot. They can be cheaper than a full mount of your lion, and they will never suffer from moths. Rishi Sunak's government is backing Henry Smith's anti-hunting bill, even though these replica trophies mean it will be obsolete before it hits the statute book.
We can take photos of a hunted lion or rhino or polar bear for that matter and actually recreate a trophy that looks just like their hunted animal. We can match anything down from scars on the face to coloration of the mane or whatever to make it look just like their hunted trophy.
Henry Smith's bill is on its way to becoming a bad law before it's passed. Even then, it may not survive, as a recent short-lived US ban shows. President Obama banned the import of ivory in 2015. In 2017, President Donald Trump tweeted that big game trophy hunting was a horror show. But he realised his mistake and quietly lifted the ban on importing elephant trophies in 2018. Here's his son, Donald Trump Jr., a keen hunting tourist and possible presidential hopeful at the 2023 SCI convention in Nashville, Tennessee, where we interviewed Darryl, and a man whose company helps hunters ship trophies home from all over the world.
It didn't stop them from going to Africa. It did stop them from hunting elephants, but at the end of the day, they were still going over. There's lots of species that are still viable species, and the elephant population, as far as we know, is higher today than it has been in hundreds of years because of sustainable hunting and practices with CITES, and it's not a free-for-all.
That's another reason that Henry Smith's law won't work. Another is the mischaracterisation of hunting tourists. It's hard to find an Ernest Hemingway among them these days. Carol Gritt is a retired civil servant from Hampshire. She's just returned from South Africa, where she donated the meat from her hunt to a nearby orphanage.
We've got a huge impala. Impalas are not particularly big deer, but they have still got a lot of meat on them, but we've got quite a big one. We took it to an orphanage, and it's one of these orphanages where the children are born of mothers who are alcohol dependent, so the children, when they're born, they're not particularly well either, and nobody wants them. So we've actually took it, and they've had about 40 children there. So we took the impala there, and they're absolutely over the moon because it's all free.
Even though his business relies on the export, not the import of trophies, and the UK government doesn't want to ban trophy export, professional deer stalker Neil Rowntree opposes a trophy import ban because it damages conservation.
Fortunately, I was in Dallas at the start of the year with Dallas Safari Club, and the ambassador for Tanzania addressed the conservation committee of Dallas. And I know to a lot of people that don't support hunting, they're talking about conservation, and they're going, "You're at the Dallas Safari Club, what's the connection?" And she made a really, really telling statement. She said, you know, that Tanzania has one of the biggest biodiversity, they're one of the wealthiest countries in biodiversity terms in the world. They've won the single largest mammal migration occurs in Tanzania. And they said, you know, without a credible alternative, why are well-meaning people trying to remove something that funds conservation?
Trying to make the connection, which exists, but we don't want to really investigate it too deeply, between hunting and conservation. So I don't know of anywhere that I've been to where hunting is an activity that's got economic value, where conservation doesn't also go hand in hand with this. And this is particularly true in Africa, where the conservation of wildlife is very, very closely linked with trophy hunting or hunting, commercial hunting. And we need to get away from this idea that it's all about the trophy. It isn't. It's about the experience, and many of the animals that are culled are actually ripe for culling.
Neil and Kathy Main say a more sensible approach to regulation of trophies is to persuade hunters not to hunt animals before the animals reach their prime.
The smart thing to do would be for the sector to start to change how it values trophies. So a trophy of an animal in its prime with the most magnificent spread would actually be something you wouldn't want to put on your wall because it says the wrong thing. That you really want a trophy of an animal that is ripe for culling. So either an animal that is unwell, ill, deformed, or very old.
I think there's scope for change, and I think the hunting community can no longer take it as read that we have rights to do things. We all, as a species, have to start using this planet more sustainably. And if people are looking for more transparency in hunting, then why not? I personally would like to see a move in the trophy market. And I don't really like the word trophy, because trophy means so many different things to different people. But where people harvest game animals, then there should be sound ethics. There should be an environmental reason for it. And animals in their prime shouldn't be taken unless there's a legitimate cause. Could it be habitat? Could it be welfare? But if not, if it's a stag or a bull elephant in his prime, have a good reason before you kill him. And that, I think, if we get that message across to the public, we can be seen as what we should be seen as a safe pair of hands.
For Carol, nothing can replace the experience of hunting. She wants to do everything she can to protect the communities she supports when she makes her trips to Africa.
Going over there to, yes, you're doing a sport and yes, you're killing an animal, but you know, we do it humanely. And if you wounded one, the professional guide that's with you will not let the animal go off on their own. They'll make sure they get to it to dispatch it. And you know, and the schools will all lose out. And the businesses, the land, everything, it just goes down.
If other countries follow in suit of this, it'll affect the entire ecosystem and hunting around the world, because you have to have value to animals. And if you don't have a value and you have hundreds of thousands of acres that you work and you farm wild game, well then what are you going to do with it? And we talk about there's a study that says that within 5 years, if you were to ban trophy hunting, the only place you'd see wild game is national parks, which then you would see less of every species, and you'd go back to the days where there was no regulation and no conservation, and species would be decimated.
Those are the wider arguments against Henry Smith's bill. Daryl's company is one of many options hunters can choose.
For a lion pedestal, we're at $10,800 for a lion.
There are cheaper options out there, are there? I mean, not from your company necessarily, but I mean this whole technology of producing trophies, shooting your trophy in one place and kind of 3D printing it back at home, that's taking place, isn't it?
Yeah, there are other options out there. There are, like you had mentioned, the 3D printing thing. So there are companies that are doing that type of thing, where they're doing a 3D rendering and 3D printing of horns or antlers or something like that. What we're offering is more of a one-off, hand-built from scratch type of thing, because it's just the type of process that we're using and the result that we're creating is a little bit more of a one-off, hand-built type of product.
The problem here is that politicians with an agenda are choosing to ignore technology.
Thanks all who took part in that. Let's hope the government sees sense and sends this bill off to die in the long grass. Now to the wider world of hunting and shooting films on YouTube, brought to you by James Marchington. It is Hunting YouTube.
This is Hunting YouTube, which aims to show the best hunting and shooting videos that YouTube has to offer. First up this week, David Morris is hunting buffalo in Zimbabwe and takes a perfect shot on a massive old bull. Over to Sweden, and Portuguese hunter Miguel is after capercaillie, black grouse and ptarmigan and talks about his love of the landscape, wildlife and bird dogs. Here's a rugged Alaskan adventurer, a commercial fisherman and an outdoor journalist take a float plane into the wilderness to camp, fish and hunt moose. Ron Spomer has a knack for making technical stuff interesting and easy to follow. Here he takes a close look at the 220 Swift and asks whether it's the most overrated barrel-burning cartridge of all time. Lank's Vermin Control is out ratting with his FAC-rated Daystate Huntsman in .25 caliber. It's impressive to see how hard it hits, stopping the rats dead in their tracks. Owen Beardsmore needs to fill the larder, so he's out at dawn in Oxfordshire looking for fallow, roe or muntjac. It turns into a long day, but he gets there in the end. Knife maker Alan Johnson is on a wild goose chase on the southwest coast of Scotland. It's not the easiest conditions for filming, but he certainly captures the atmosphere of a wet and windy flight. Finally this week, over to Australia, where Edge of the Outback is called out to deal with an infestation of rabbits. He's using a 44 foot-pound FX Impact airgun and PARD day-night scope for clean kills at up to 150 yards. That's it for this week. We've put all these films into a playlist for you. Click on the I symbol top right or check this film's description. If you have a YouTube film you'd like us to pop into the weekly top 8, email Charlie the link charlie@fieldsportschannel.tv.
Well, that's it for this week. If you haven't done so already, please whiz over to our website, fieldsportschannel.tv, where you can click to like us on Facebook and on Instagram. You can follow us on Twitter, subscribe to us on YouTube, pop your email address into our register page and we'll contact you about this show. Fieldsports Britain, it's at 7 PM UK time every Wednesday. And this has been Fieldsports Britain. Good hunting, good shooting, good fishing, and goodbye.